So welcome to how to use YouTube to grow your business. And before we begin, let's just talk a little bit about the ASBTDC. And for those of you that don't know very much about the ASBTDC, the main thing to remember is that we are the business answers people. If you need answers about starting, managing, or growing a business, start with us, because we are funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration and universities around the state. Our ASBTDC services are available at no cost in all 75 counties in Arkansas for those that have or want to start a for-profit small business in our lovely state. Now, in addition to bringing answers to you through our business consulting and market research services, we offer events like today's, which are designed to give you answers from the experts. Now, before we introduce our speaker, we want to thank our co-sponsor, Arvis Bank, and give Alex Sanchez a chance to welcome you today. So, Alex?
Yeah, thank you. On behalf of Arvis Bank and our Business Resource Center, I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar, and hoping that you use the information well and you are able to grow your business. And I also want to thank the ASBTDC for helping us put this webinar together.
All right, thank you, Alex. And today's speaker is a good friend of the Arkansas SBTDC. It's Pamela Starr, and she is a leading authority on building customer loyalty and is a professional speaker for Grow with Google. And Pamela is a sought-after keynote speaker, and she helps people achieve more measurable and profitable results from their digital and offline communication programs. And for all her presentation attendees, she delivers real-world tools and strategies that drive stellar results. All right, take it away, Miss Pamela.
Well, thank you for that nice welcome. Today, we're here to talk about how you can use YouTube to grow your business. As you just heard, I am a professional trainer for Grow with Google. During normal times, and hopefully we are coming back to some version of normal times, but during normal times, Google puts me on an airplane and flies me all around North America to do in-person educational workshops for people just like all of you. Back in, I think it was 2019, I spent a whole week doing a whole tour of Arkansas. And so I had the opportunity to see many of you in person and definitely got to set the sense for the flavor of your lovely state. I actually live in Florida. And so when I was in Arkansas, I have to tell you, I was so envious of the hills and the green and the lush and everything that you had there. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity for me to come back and see you in person at some point, hopefully in the future. Now, today we're going to be talking about YouTube. What's interesting about that is, of course, YouTube is where people go to watch. What's good to know is people go to YouTube to discover new products and new services. And they absolutely want to engage with businesses that are on YouTube. I just heard a stat earlier this morning from our friends in Arkansas there that in the last 30 days, 49% of people in the state of Arkansas have used YouTube. YouTube is absolutely where people go when they want to get information. Now, I'm sitting here in front of you wearing my Grow with Google t-shirt. Google owns YouTube. So it's interesting to keep in mind, Google, as many of you can probably imagine, is the #1 search engine. YouTube is the #2 search engine, which is probably why way back when Google bought YouTube. But I really want you to keep that in mind. YouTube is a search engine. When people have problems, when they have questions, when they want to get information, they turn to YouTube because it's great to read about information on Google, but it's even better to watch a video about it on YouTube. And that's going to be kind of one of my themes as we go on in today's presentation. YouTube is a very big topic. Don't worry, at the end of my conversation, I'm going to share with you a great free resource where you can get tons and tons of really in-depth training for free directly from the people at YouTube. But today, I'm going to touch on some of the high notes. First of all, I'm going to talk about how you can create your YouTube channel. Then I'm going to talk about how you can create those actual videos, including going live on YouTube. And then again, as I mentioned, I will share with you some great resources for when you want to know even more about how to use YouTube to grow your business. So let's get started talking about creating your YouTube channel. Now, your YouTube channel is the home for your business on YouTube. Kind of think about it just like a television channel. All of your videos that you have about your business will all be kind of housed in this home, which is your YouTube channel. For those of you that have used YouTube at some point personally, you've probably gone to YouTube, watched videos. If you've ever wanted to save any of those videos or make comments on any of those videos, you need to have a YouTube account. A YouTube account's kind of like spin-off of your Google account. It's very easy to get that YouTube account set up. It's 100% free. So when you want to create the channel for your business, the first thing that you would do is you would sign into your own personal YouTube account. Once you do that, then you would click on the button in the upper right-hand corner that simply says Create Channel. Now, I'm going to ask you all to digitally raise your hands. If you raise it in person, I can't see it. You can see me, but I cannot see you. So digitally raise your hands and let me know if you already have a YouTube channel for your business. I see Belford has one, Kathleen, Megan, Richard. Looks like it's sprinkling. Destiny has one. Looks okay. Catherine. Okay, we've got Catherine. We've got two Catherines spelled differently for each one. So it looks like Richard. Let's see, Andy. Looks like a few of you have some. Not everybody. So for those of you who already have your YouTube channel, it's important that you know that you're actually going back to the right YouTube channel. You can actually have multiple YouTube channels for your business as well as for other activities that you might be involved in. Every once in a while, I'll talk to somebody and they'll tell me that they're confused about what channel they are in. When you go to your YouTube account, you'll have the opportunity to do what they call manage your channels. For those of you that do not yet have a channel, you would simply go to create your channel. Then you would click on the button that says get started. After that, what you need to do is decide that you want to go ahead and create a channel for your business or your brand. YouTube's gone through some kind of changes recently about what they're calling the business version of YouTube, but you do want to set up one for your business or your brand because at some point, if your business grows or if your YouTube channel grows, you may need people to help you manage your YouTube channel. That's why you do want to be sure that you're officially setting it up as a brand or a business account. That way, if you have employees or if you have contractors that are helping you, they can manage your YouTube channel with you and you don't need to give them your password. So you do want to be sure that you set it up properly right from the get-go. After that, then you want to customize your channel. The very first thing that you need to do is upload a profile picture. And your profile picture on YouTube is kind of sort of the same thing that you're probably used to with your profile picture on social media. The one thing that's important to understand is pause for a moment and think carefully about how do you want people to recognize your business. If you are in a business that's maybe like auto repair, where the business name is your brand, you probably want to have your logo as your profile picture because it's not necessarily going to be you personally. If you are in a different type of business where you are a solo entrepreneur, or maybe you're an independent sales professional like a real estate agent, then you may want to have your face as your profile picture. So it's important to kind of be sure that you're setting the expectation there. If you personally are your own brand, go ahead and use your face. If you don't want to have to be your own brand, if you want other people in your organization to get to know customers, then you probably want to go ahead and use your logo as your profile picture. Then you go through the process of adding channel details. This is something which is critically important. So for those of you that may have already set up your business profile in the past, take another look at this, or not your business profile, your YouTube account in the past. Take another look at this and be sure that you're following these best practices. You want to write a description of your YouTube channel. Remember, I've talked about already, YouTube is a search engine. So as you're probably familiar with the idea of using keywords on your websites, you also want to use keywords here in your channel description. So let's say I own a business called Pamela's Pet Shop, which I don't, but I like to use that fictional business in a lot of my examples. I could have a description that says something like, "Welcome to Pamela's Pet Shop. We really hope you enjoy our videos." Keep in mind, though, your uninformed future customer who's a stranger to you today is going to YouTube looking for information to help them. Chances are good, if somebody has never heard of Pamela's Pet Shop, they're not going to go to YouTube and search for Pamela's Pet Shop. They're going to YouTube because they're searching for information that is going to solve their problems and answer their questions. So if at Pamela's Pet Shop I offered puppy training, dog grooming, veterinary services, and doggy daycare, if somebody went to YouTube and they're looking for information about how to choose a good doggy daycare, what I would want to do in my description is say something like, "This is Pamela's Pet Shop. We offer doggy daycare, puppy training, veterinary services, and grooming services. And in our YouTube channel, we tell you everything you need to know about all of those topics." That way, if somebody goes to Google and they're doing a Google search for doggy daycare or dog grooming or how to cut a dog's toenails, there's a better likelihood they will land on my channel because I'm using those same keywords. That's exactly what you need to do, is use those keywords that you're probably already thinking about for your website. Have those keywords in your description. After that, you do want to have your website on your YouTube channel. You want to be sure that you're kind of bouncing people back and forth between your YouTube channel and your website and other social media. So on your YouTube channel, you absolutely want to be sure you are also adding links to any of your social media accounts that you use for your business. So that's something that's important to understand. After that, then you have the opportunity to customize your channel. And you would access that through a tool called the YouTube Studio. Now, kind of depending on where you are entering YouTube, the YouTube Studio will show up in a couple of different places. Just like things at Google, with YouTube, there's a lot of different ways to accomplish kind of the same activities. So what you want to do is, for the most part, you'll go to the upper right-hand corner of your screen where you're looking at your own YouTube presence, and you would click on your own profile picture, and you'll get a drop-down that will have a link to the YouTube Studio. So that's where you want to go. You can upload videos from there as well. When you're in the studio, you want to go ahead and customize your channel. So the first thing that you're going to have the opportunity to do is to look at the layout. The video spotlight is the first introductory video that people are going to see. Now, what's kind of interesting about the spotlight is you can be very strategic about this. You can have one introductory video for people that have never subscribed to your YouTube channel. And that video can be designed to encourage people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. Then you can have a different introductory video for people who have subscribed to your channel already, so that way they can get different types of information. So just know you've got a variety of different opportunities for people to see your introductory video, which is also called the video spotlight. You also want to organize your videos according to different categories. And so for me, for Pamela's Pet Shop, I might have videos that are all about dog training, videos about dog grooming, videos about cat training, and maybe videos about commonly asked questions for our veterinarian. So depending what type of business you have, you might have different ways of categorizing your videos. Now, if you're just getting started, you may not necessarily need to worry yet about categorizing your videos. You may just want to focus on getting one video up and running. And don't worry, in a little bit, I'm going to talk to you about your videos. But just kind of keep in the back of your mind that as your YouTube channel grows, you are going to want to have different categories. And it's in the YouTube Studio that you go ahead and you set up those categories. Next, you want to customize the branding of your YouTube channel. I've already talked about the profile picture, This is another opportunity to upload it if you haven't done that before, or change it if you want to. And then you can also create the banner image. And the image I'll show you here in just a couple of minutes, but that's kind of like a banner that shows up at the very top part of your YouTube channel homepage. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more at length when I get to an example of what that's going to look like. After that, then, you also have the opportunity to update your channel name in your description, as well as all of those links that we just talked about. Here's an example of a well-designed YouTube channel. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is that banner image, and that's what I just kind of referenced a minute ago. That's that area at the top of the screen that you see that's got the gold on both sides, and it's got the picture of the man and his logo right in the middle. When you go to upload the image to YouTube, YouTube will let you know what the dimensions of that image would be. And kind of over the course of time, YouTube likes to kind of change that. There's something that's really important to understand that YouTube doesn't always do a great job sharing with you. Depending on what device people are using to look at your YouTube channel, that banner image is going to get cut off. Some people might be looking at YouTube on their desktop or laptop computer, like you see an example on the screen. Other people might be looking at your YouTube channel on their tablet, which is in a different dimension. They might be looking at your YouTube channel on their itty-bitty smartphone, or they might be looking at your YouTube channel on their smart TV. Kind of depending on what's going on in my world, what day it is, what time of the day it is, I might look at people's YouTube channels on all of those different devices. Now, we'll just kind of stick with right now the monitor or the laptop that you can see on your screen right now. The banner shows up kind of long and skinny. The reason why this particular channel has those gold sections at the end is because if we were to look at the exact same YouTube channel on the smartphone, those gold sections would get chopped off. So you want to be sure your most important image is in the center of that long, skinny banner. That way it won't get chopped off. Now, Google will let you see or preview what the image is going to look like in people's different devices. But trust me, because I have uploaded different banner graphics to different YouTube channels, it's frustrating to upload one that you think is going to look perfect, and then you see the example of what it will look like on a smartphone, and you realize it's going to get chopped off. Then you need to upload a different one. So I'm just kind of giving you that little pointer, hopefully to save you some time and frustration. You can see that this guy's profile picture shows up. He is what we would call a YouTube influencer, meaning his business is his YouTube channel. And so because he wants to have his person associated with the YouTube channel, that's why he has his picture in the YouTube channel. And then you can see he's got his video spotlight. Now, some people will discover you from your channel first. Other people will discover you from one of your videos first. So kind of depending on how they first encounter you will determine whether they see your channel first or not. Some people may never even go to your channel because they'll just look at your individual videos. So a well-organized channel does have videos grouped, as we mentioned before. You can also group things in playlists. So the difference between sections and playlists is kind of a fine line. Just know that there's a variety of different ways that you can organize your videos. For Pamela's Pet Shop, my fictional business, I could have a playlist or a section that is just about dog training videos. That way, somebody who watches one of my dog training videos may want to go to my channel and see I've got a whole section that's just devoted to dog training videos, and they can watch the other videos that are interesting to them. They may not care about grooming. Maybe their dog doesn't need grooming. Or maybe they've got a cat, and maybe they only want to watch videos that are related to cat care. They're uninterested in the dog videos. So that's why over the course of time, as your channel grows, you're going to want to organize your videos in different ways. So now let's talk about creating and adding those actual videos to your channel. Because typically when people ask me about YouTube, that's the first thing that they think about. The good news is it's pretty darn easy to create a video and upload it to YouTube. The days where you needed to have a full-blown production video, for the most part, are gone. Thanks to YouTube, people have a pretty low bar of what we will accept when it comes to quality of videos. Having said that, there absolutely are industries and certain types of professionals where you do want to have a high quality production video. So if there's anybody who's online with us right now, actually, if there is anybody who's online with us right now, raise your hand digitally and let me know if you are a videographer, or if you are a photographer. Because there absolutely are times, if you are in a very high trust industry, legal, banking, like we already heard from today, anything related to finance. Okay, I see Megan is, she raised her hand saying that she's either a videographer or photographer, as well as Destiny did as well. There definitely are times where you may want to invest in using a true professional to create videos for you. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a professional quality video for every business or for every video that you upload. As I mentioned before, people do have a pretty low bar of what we will accept for many YouTube videos. You may be able to create a really great video simply using your smartphone. Having said that, if you want to have a really production quality video, you may want to consider hiring a professional to help you navigate that, at least for the first time around. When it comes to the videos, though, you want to put a lot of thought into them even before you whip out your camera. Start thinking about what is the story you want to tell. What is the actual purpose of the video? And then kind of think about who or what is going to be the star of your video. Remember, people go online to YouTube because they have a question they want an answer to, or they've got a problem they want a solution to. How to is one of the most commonly searched phrases on YouTube. So how to trim a dog's toenails, or how to teach a puppy to sit, that is the type of video that people are going to want to watch. Welcome to Pamela's Pet Shop. Sure, that makes a nice introductory video, but as I mentioned before, it's unlikely that a whole lot of people are going to go to YouTube looking for an introduction to Pamela's Pet Shop. Now, maybe if they see on my website, or if they saw in an email or an advertisement that I have a YouTube channel, they may want to get to know me that way. But for the most part, my ideal future customer for my fictional business, who's a stranger to me, they want information. So for all of you, start thinking about those how-to videos that are related to your particular business, and think about creating videos that solve that how-to need that your future customer has. Now, the last little bullet here, or the last little line that we have on this, is who's going to star in your video. Oftentimes when I'm doing YouTube presentations like this, somebody will say to me, do I really need to have my face on the video? People get very uncomfortable with seeing their own face on video. I was actually watching a YouTube channel over the weekend about people feeling very uncomfortable seeing their own faces on Zoom. So you do not necessarily need to show your own face on your video. You could do a presentation similar to what I'm doing right now. And if you wanted to, you don't need to have your camera on. You can simply show the slides to people. Keep in mind, however, slides are boring, faces are interesting. I know some of us feel uncomfortable with seeing ourselves on video. I'm a professional speaker. I can't see myself on the video right now because I don't like watching myself when I'm present. Keep in mind though, the way you look on video is basically exactly the same as you look in person. So if you would be comfortable sitting down with a future customer and having a face-to-face conversation with them, video is basically the same thing, only you can't see them when they're watching you. So you may want to kind of just get used to the idea of having your face on video. But again, if you're very uncomfortable with that, you absolutely can have a presentation where you're just kind of narrating until you get to the place where you're comfortable sharing your face on video. So let's talk about some best practices for your video itself. The first thing that you want to do is write a script. I know some of you out there may feel comfortable just saying, I'm just going to wing it. I know this. I've had this business for 20 years. I know exactly what I want to say. Folks, I've been a professional speaker for more than 20 years. I always write a script. I have a script for today's presentation. The value of writing this script isn't necessarily in reading the script or memorizing the script. The value in writing the script is to get your thoughts organized. The kiss of death for any YouTube video is to ramble and to bore people. So you want to be sure that you write a script that has a clear and concise message. The first 5 seconds of your video are the most important seconds, because if you bore people right from the get-go, they're going to click away and they're going to watch somebody else's video. So think of this. Hi, I'm Pamela. I'm the owner of Pamela's Pet Shop. This is my first video. I really hope you like it because I really tried really hard to create it. Nobody cares about that stuff. What people care about is, does your dog have fleas? I'm going to give you 3 all-natural ways to get rid of fleas for good. Hi, I'm Pamela, the owner of Pamela's Pet Shop. So you want to be sure that those first 5 to 15 seconds really grabs their attention, even before you introduce yourself. You obviously do need to introduce yourself at some point in the video, but be sure that you aren't boring people right from the get-go. As I mentioned just a moment ago, you want to be sure that you don't ramble. Sometimes when I'm watching other people's videos, because as I said, I watch YouTube a lot, I'll look in the comments and people might put in a comment that says something like, skip forward to minute 3, second 32, because that's when the guy finally gets to the point. Don't frustrate people by being wishy-washy and by not being really clear about what your video is all about. You also want to have a clear call to action in every single video that you have. Now with YouTube, there's a couple of different calls to action that you could have. With YouTube, you have the opportunity to write a description about your video. That description can include a link to your website, a link to your calendar for people to schedule a consultation with you. It could be a link to a product that you sell. So if you wanted people to visit any of those things in your video itself, your call to action would be, please look at the description and click in the link below to order this product or to schedule a consultation or whatever it is you want people to do. Sometimes you could create a video and the whole point of the video is to get people to subscribe to your channel. If you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you may notice some people saying, please click below to subscribe to my channel. Please click the bell to let you know when I'm uploading new videos. You want to get more and more people subscribed to your channel because it's kind of a circle or cycle where the more people that subscribe to your channel and watch your videos, the more likely YouTube's mathematical algorithms are going to be to show your videos to more people. So you definitely want to encourage people to like your video and subscribe to your channels. Those are calls to action that you can have. So those are just kind of some best practices. Write those out in your script so that way you don't forget them. Don't try to memorize your script. Don't try and figure out, a teleprompter or anything like that. Yes, you are the expert, but writing the script will help you organize your thoughts. When it comes to shooting your video, and the photographers that are online with us here today, you may recognize some of these things, you do want to be sure that you pay attention to your environment. As I mentioned before, thanks to YouTube, we actually have a pretty low bar of professionalism of what we will accept when it comes to YouTube videos. But there are some things which are really, really important. First of all, be sure that the space behind you isn't distracting. You want to be sure that it's clear of clutter. Depending on what you're trying to achieve, you might want to have a nice backdrop. Think of how it is going to look. I'm actually sitting in front of a blank wall. Don't necessarily love it looking blank, but what I wanted to be sure of is, you don't see a bunch of junk behind me. So what you can't see in front is not so pretty. What you can see behind me is nice and clear. You may want to show your logo, on the wall behind you. Depending on what type of workspace you have, you may want to be in the workspace. Just be sure that what is behind you that the camera can see is something that looks nice, clean, professional, that there's not a whole lot that's distracting. If you've got customers or employees that are walking back and forth behind you, that's going to be distracting to the people that are watching your video. The next thing that you want to think of is lighting. Lighting really is important. Just like with still photography, you want to be facing the light. Look for shadows that are on your face. If you can film your video outside, typically that's always going to be much better lighting than if you film it inside. So kind of play around with different environments as you're looking for the background. Also be sure that you're paying attention to the lighting. You might want to take some practice videos just kind of to see what the lighting is going to be like. Of course, if you're filming outside, you do need to be kind of mindful of the time of day, what the weather is going to be like. Clouds that go over all of a sudden can cast a shadow to your face. So kind of fiddle around with lighting just to be sure that your face is what shows up, assuming that you are brave enough to have your face on your video. Regardless of whether or not you have your face on your video, sound absolutely is critically important. Poor quality sound is one of the things that people will not forgive when they're watching your videos. Typically, you're going to want to have a microphone. I mentioned before that many of you can probably use your own smartphone to do the video. If you're holding your smartphone on a tripod, maybe on your desk, that's a foot or 18 inches away from you, the microphone on your smartphone may be okay. But if it's any further away from that, it will not be okay. You can go online or you can find somebody in one of your local stores. You can buy a lapel mic for $20 or so. I actually have a bigger stand mic that I use when I'm doing my webinars. So you want to be sure that your audio is clear. If you're doing recording inside, just be sure that you're in a place where there's not a lot of echoes. I recently moved. The place where I lived before had a hard floor. I was constantly battling echoes. In the place where I live right now, I actually have the smallest, most cramped room in the entire house as where my office is, because it's got carpeting. And so that kind of tries to minimize some of the echoes. So do be sure that you're paying attention to the sound, because that is something, if the sound is bad, people will not watch your videos. After you kind of write the script and you figure out what your video is going to be all about, then it's time to go ahead, record the video, and then upload it. So when you're in your YouTube channel, there's a couple of places, again, where you can go ahead and upload your video. So generally, you would click on Create. You may have the opportunity to go live on YouTube, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes, or you would upload the file of your video in a way that's just like you're probably already used to uploading any type of file anytime you're working on the computer. I'm going to guess that since you all are on GoToWebinar with us here right now, you probably can figure out how to upload a file, since you've probably already done that in other views. Now, after you upload the video, you actually still have some really important things that you need to do. Again, YouTube is a search engine. And so you need to package your video with YouTube in a way that makes it likely for your ideal future customer to find your video. Now, we already talked about some of this when it comes to helping people find your channel. That's when I talked about the description of your channel and how it needs to have those keywords that your ideal future customer is likely to search for on YouTube. In your specific video, you need to do the same thing. So after you actually upload the file, Google will ask for details about that video. Not Google, YouTube will ask for details about that video. The first thing that you will need to do is determine what is the title of your video. This is critically important. As I mentioned before, how to is incredibly powerful. You want to think of a title that might be the types of things that people are likely to go to YouTube and search for. So things like new product update, nobody's going to search for. Introduction to my business, nobody's going to search for. Quarterly new product review, nobody's going to search for. How to trim a dog's toenails, people are going to search for. How to choose the right bank for my small business, people might search for something like that as well. So be sure your title has those keywords and your title answers the question that your ideal future customer is searching for on YouTube. Next, you create a description for, you create a description for the video. Again, use those keywords in the description. Rather than this video shows you how to trim a dog's toenails, you could be how to trim or trimming a dog's toenails is easier than you think as long as you use the proper tools and techniques. In this video, we're going to show you how to trim your dog's toenails, whether it's a puppy, a grown dog, a small dog, a big dog, or whatever that is you think people might need to know. So be sure you've got those keywords in the description. Make that description long and be sure you've got lots of those keywords. Your description also is the place where you can have a link to something in addition to just your homepage. So if I was doing a video about how to trim a dog's toenails, if I was talking about, this particular set of toenail clippers, I could say in my videos, in this description below, I have a link to this exact toenail clipper that you can buy from my website. Then this is where in the description area where you're entering the information, that's where you would have the link to that particular page on the website. Now, for those of you that have services and you don't have products that you sell, you still can have a link to the place on your website where perhaps you go deeper into your services. Remember, YouTube is something where you definitely want to send people off of YouTube to either call you or visit your website or schedule a consultation or buy your product or book your services. So be sure you have that information in the description. The next thing that you get to do is select the thumbnail. Now, the thumbnail is that little rectangular image that you're familiar with when you are looking at videos on YouTube. Google will, I always say Google because I speak for Google so much. YouTube, whenever I do my YouTube presentation, half the time I reference Google. You guys know what I'm talking about because obviously we're here talking about YouTube. When people are watching YouTube, YouTube will show other videos that people might also be interested in. It will either be over on the side panel or sometimes along the bottom, and there'll be those bright rectangular pictures. The thumbnail, YouTube will go through your video that you've just uploaded and pick 3 random pictures. When I go through this process, either my eyes are closed or my mouth is hanging open or I just don't like the way that I look. So you do have the opportunity to upload a custom thumbnail. Sometimes that's the best idea. The tool that I recommend you use to build your custom thumbnail is called Canva, and you can create free YouTube thumbnails through Canva, and you can find that at canva.com. You want your thumbnail to be bright, you want it to be bold, you want it to be attention-getting. You may notice as you are looking at YouTube yourself, kind of with a different lens now, that you may see that there's a real trend right now of people having close-up of faces with really exaggerated facial expressions. Those feel kind of cheesy and annoying, but the reason why people do that is because those exaggerated facial expressions are more attention-grabbing than just, a smiling face. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. After you determine the thumbnail, then you can decide, do you want that particular video to be on an individual playlist if you've already created your playlists or not. Again, we kind of talked about that, so I won't go into detail on the playlists. After that, then, you need to determine the audience, and this is super important if you create videos that are designed for children to watch. YouTube does have some very specific regulations about the types of videos that can be designed for children to watch. So if your YouTube video is designed for kids, you need to be sure that you select that button here and be confident that your video meets all of YouTube's requirements about videos for children. Now, keep in mind, a video that's designed for parents of children is different than a video that's designed for children. So just be sure that you're really clear about who is your intended audience. After that, then, there is more information that you need to fill out related to the particular video. If your video is a paid promotion, meaning you have a sponsor, and my sponsor is the pen manufacturer, and you do need to disclose that if you're doing a product or service review, if it is a paid promotion. And as you watch more and more YouTube videos, you will see people say something like, this portion of my video is sponsored by the pen manufacturers. I like this pen because of blah, 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 blah. If you have paid promotion, you do need to disclose that here. Sometimes people will put tags in their descriptions. Tags are when people will have like a hashtag with, whatever word it is. In YouTube, tags really aren't super helpful. They're a little bit, they're not as helpful in YouTube as they are in social media. But sometimes people will do that, especially if there are different words that people might use to describe the same thing. So you don't necessarily need to get too worried about tags. Subtitles, closed captions, and languages, that's something that's getting to be more and more common. Absolutely consider having subtitles on your videos. Accessibility is something that I'm starting to hear a lot of in the Google world as well as the YouTube world. So it's definitely going to be beneficial to you if you turn on captions on your videos. As I mentioned before, YouTube has got algorithms that may be likely to offer your video to a total complete random stranger. Having captions on your videos is something that is going to help you show up higher in those algorithms. So be sure that you have that on. If it's relevant to your video, you also can have a recording date and a recording location. Sometimes that's relevant. Other times you may not want to have that because you may not necessarily want people to think, oh, your video was created last year, it's dated, if that's not the case. So you've got a variety of different things that you can put there on the first section of your video details. There is more information that you can put on here. YouTube has improved a lot of things on their platform here recently. Shorts are quick little 30-second snippets of videos that are designed to show up on people's mobile devices, so they're in portrait mode. So that's something that you may want to look into. It could be a great way for people to discover you. For those of you that are familiar with using TikTok, YouTube Shorts kind of are somewhat similar. The category is something that you can choose about what is the category of your overall channel. Is this video, for bloggers? What's the category about? You can choose whether or not you want the comments and the ratings to be made public or not. Depending on what you're talking about, you may not want the comments to be shown. As a general rule, though, it is a good idea to have comments to be shown, especially if you have comments, though, you do need to be sure that you're responding to them. I will warn you, people sometimes feel a little bit more comfortable being not so nice in comments on YouTube. Sometimes people will say something about the YouTube person or a YouTube video that they probably would never say to the person in person. But as a general rule, it is a good idea to have comments displayed because the more comments you have, again, the more likely YouTube is going to be to offer your video to people that are looking for a topic like yours. So those are more of the details that you definitely want to be sure that you fill out for every single video that you upload. I know it sounds like a lot, but kind of once you get into the habit of this, it will be fairly straightforward for you. The next thing that you can do are add what YouTube calls video elements. And those are end screens, which is information that shows up at the end of your video, usually the last 5 to 20 seconds of your video. That can encourage people to subscribe to your channel, watch another video, look at different playlists that you have. Or you can have cards. Cards are a little bit ways of making your videos a little bit more interactive, and those will pop up at different points in your video as well. You don't need to use either one of these tools, but they can be really, really great tools to help you get more engagement from the people that are watching your videos. After that, then, you need to define the visibility for your videos. And this is something that's important to understand and sometimes feels a little bit confusing. You can make your video public, you can make your video unlisted, or you can make it private. So let's talk about what those three things are and when you might want to choose one or the other. If you make your videos public, that means any person who has the ability to have internet access and watch YouTube, no matter where they are on the planet, has the opportunity to find and watch your video. Most of the time, you may be thinking, well, of course, I want everybody to be able to find and watch my videos. And that could be the case, in which case then you would go ahead and make your video public. There may be times where you don't want anybody to randomly find your video, and you can make it unlisted. If you make your video unlisted, that's kind of what I call video for your businesses, friends, and family. So with an unlisted video, strangers can't find it if they search for it. but anybody that has a link to your video can share that link with other people. So you could end up having strangers watch your unlisted video. A good example of that could be, let's say maybe you have an introduction to your services. This is a class that I'm doing for an introduction to Pamela's puppy training. This is the first class that I'm doing. I may want to share that link with everybody that attends that training class and encourage them, hey, share this with your friends, and they can see how cute your puppy is in our training class. That might be a good example of when you might want to have an unlisted video. Kind of like how a lot of times retailers will have like the friends and family coupons. You can have this and you can share it with your friends as well, but it's not necessarily out there for the whole world to discover. The last visibility option is to make your video private. Now, I always kind of smile when I talk about private videos. Let's just keep in mind, first of all, nothing online is ever truly, truly, truly private. So, word of warning, don't put anything on YouTube that you wouldn't eventually want your teacher, preacher, or grandmother to see. Having said that, there may be times where you want to make a video private. If you make a video private, that means you get to determine the people who can watch your video. So you would put in their email addresses into the private video. Why would you want to do that? Let's say your business has a VIP club and you want to create special videos that are only for people who join your VIP club. Maybe they're your existing customers. Maybe for Pamela's Pet Shop, I'm going to go ahead and record all of my training classes. And maybe in each training class, I only have 7 people and 7 puppies. And I want to film that training class so the people that were in that class can watch it afterwards. But I don't want them to be able to share that class with their friends and family. I only want them to be able to watch that class, to review that class, just in case they have got, a problem with it or they want to see what they learned. So a private video, you get to determine who can see it. They cannot share it with other people. So depending on your business, you may want to use one or all 3 of these different visibility settings. The schedule is something which comes in really handy if you are kind of grouping your activities. You may want to record 3 videos all on the same day, upload them all on the same day, but schedule them to go live maybe 1 week at a time. So you can determine when you want your videos to be available for people to actually see. And that's everything that you need to go through for every single video that you upload. Again, I know that seems like a lot of work, but you want to be really strategic about this to be sure that you're getting the best exposure for your video to help your business grow. After you determine all of that with your visibility, then YouTube will give you the opportunity to share your video. And this is the last screen that you will see after you upload a video. You can embed the video on your website or some other place. You can share it on your social media. You can get a link that you can email out to people. You want to drive as many people as you can to watch your individual videos. Remember, YouTube will show more popular videos, will show to more people. So you need to kind of do your part in kind of getting that ball rolling. So absolutely share your videos to everybody that you connect with, so that way they'll watch more of your videos. And in the video itself, you want to be sure that you have that call to action is, please share this video with your friends. So that way you can kind of get that ball rolling, get more and more people to watch your videos. That way, YouTube, there I go, YouTube will be more likely to share your video with other people. And that's how you can get even more strangers familiar with what's going on with your business. So everything that we just talked about here are for pre-recorded videos. It's great to do those recordings. You'll stumble, you can stop, you can re-record, you can use different types of editing software to kind of patch together different takes so that way your video is the way that you want it to be. And you can do all that in advance. You also can do YouTube Live, which is a totally different ballgame. Just like you might be familiar with doing Facebook Live or Instagram Live, you can also do YouTube Live. So what's great about doing live events is it gives you an opportunity to interact with people absolutely in real time. And your live stream, assuming that you announce it in advance, could show up in YouTube's search results. So it could be another way for strangers to see what's going on, what it is you have to say right now. Again, I've got a lot of information that I'll share with you at the very end before we wind it down about how you can get more information about this. Also, I am actually winding down my presentation. I see Trenda just put in a comment here. For those of you that have more questions about any of this stuff, this is the time for you to go ahead and type in your questions into the questions area. All right, so let's talk about how your business can actually benefit by doing YouTube Live. Anytime you have some type of live events, assuming you're having people that are coming and visiting you at your business, you can stream that in live. I could do a live training class. It could be with their permission, people that have signed up to take their puppies to my puppy training class, or it could be a live demo of me with an actual real live puppy where I'm demonstrating how to train the puppy to sit for all of the good, the bad, and the goofy stuff that puppies do at puppy training class. So that would be a live event that you could do. You could do expert interviews. I could have somebody here from the ASBTDC next to me, and I could interview them and ask them about all the services that they have to offer. You can do Q&A sessions. Hi, I'm Pamela, the owner of Pamela's Pet Shop, and these are the 3 questions that people ask me the most. For those of you that are watching me live, type in what questions you might have live, and I'll answer them too. So that would be a great thing to do live. If you have new products or services that you can demonstrate, this is our brand new pen. I'm going to show you exactly how this pen works. Any questions, type in your questions, and I'll answer those questions while we're live here on YouTube. So those are some really fun things that you can do if you want to go ahead and go live with your YouTube events. The one thing that you do need to do, if you decide that you want to go live, is you probably can't go live today. You need to kind of set up the YouTube live action in advance, and it typically takes about 24 hours. So what you would do is you would go to the YouTube studio, and there's a place there we can click on to go live, and then there's some steps that you need to take to verify what it is that you're doing. And so it's not something you can just decide as soon as today's webinar is over that you want to do YouTube live. You need to kind of go through that verification process first before you can then go live after that. So when you want to go live, after you've been verified, you would go to the same place as if you're going to be uploading a video, and you would simply click on that little camera icon that says go live. YouTube will give you a countdown, so that way, even though you're going live, you're not quite live the moment you click that camera. You do want to give a name to whatever your live stream event is. You may want to adjust the audience settings. You can schedule that I'm going to be live on Friday afternoon, and you can let everybody that you're connected with know, hey, join me live on Friday afternoon, because that's when I'm going to do, you know, the big reveal of my new product or a demonstration of my service. That's where you can go ahead and schedule it for later. But when you're ready to go live, you need to smile at the thumbnail, and it will give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and away you go. All right, I see a couple of people here have put in questions. This is a good one here. Harry asked, is there a way to merge lives with other platforms? Harry, you would need to have some third-party technology. I have absolutely seen people do that. It gets to be very complicated, but it absolutely can be done. You may actually end up needing to have multiple computers filming what's going on, kind of depending. So that's something that can be done, but you probably want to work with an expert. What you may want to do is go to YouTube and see if you can find a YouTube video, because somebody's probably already done a video about how to stream live on multiple platforms. So look for a video like that. All right, Crystal, and I'll get to your question here in just a minute. All right, so when you're getting ready to go live, be sure ahead of time that you test all of your technology. What you can do is you can go live for just a couple of, 20 seconds or something like that, just to check the technology. Chances are, if you haven't done a promotion, nobody's really going to see it. It will get recorded and will live in your channel. You can immediately delete that particular video. It's kind of hard to practice going live without actually being live. So just know you can kind of practice and then immediately delete it. Be sure that if you want to schedule it in advance, you let people know that you're going to go live. Be sure that you do have a clear thumbnail. We talked about thumbnails already. And be sure that while you're going live, you want to encourage people to ask questions. Just kind of like a couple of minutes ago, I let you all know if you've got questions, now's the time to type them into the questions area, and I'll be sure to address those. One of the advantages of being live is you can have that real-time back and forth. Now, the people that are watching you live, you will not be able to see them, but they can type questions into YouTube, and everybody else will be able to see those questions as well. After that, you do the live event, as I mentioned, there will be a recording of that. Feature that on your channel. Let people know, hey, if you missed my live experience Friday afternoon, you can absolutely still watch that. So if there are any questions that you did not answer live, then you want to go ahead and maybe add that into the description. After that, you can publish it, share the information with it, and be sure that people know that you're keeping that information in the archives. Let people know that they can watch the live experience. Live experiences do have a very different flavor than recorded ones. People really like them because you can really show off your personality and let people know that, you know, you're real, my business is real, this is how it works. All right, so a couple of things I just want to go over real quick before I get through the questions. I see a couple of people have put in questions here. The first thing that you want to do is be sure that you create your channel if you have not done that already. Then start thinking about the types of videos. It doesn't have to be perfect. Practice creating videos, see how they feel, maybe share them with a friend. Go ahead and upload them and see how it works. Over the course of time, you'll get better and better at it. You can absolutely take down videos that you've had on YouTube in the past if they no longer meet your needs. As a general rule, though, it's not a good idea to take down videos unless they're really horrible, simply because those videos have traction and they add to the overall number of viewers that you've had. And then there are some additional resources that I want to share with you right now. One of my favorite tools is the YouTube Creator Academy, and you can find that at creatoracademy.youtube.com. This is a fabulous resource that has a ton of free online classes that are created exactly by the people at YouTube. There's information on here from everything about how to pick the right microphone, how to pick the right camera, what to say, you know, what to wear, what topics are most popular. Sometimes people are really interested in monetizing their YouTube channel, which is basically how can I have other people's advertisements show up on my YouTube channel and generate some revenue from there. There'll be information on there about how to get sponsors for your YouTube channel if you want to get sponsors as well. So definitely check that out. There is a ton of really great information. It's all free. And what's great about that is because it's created by YouTube, it's always going to be 100% up to date. Anytime you are doing something like this, if you are interested in, I mentioned ads just a moment ago, people actually do YouTube ads as well. There is a resource where if you're looking for somebody who can create some YouTube ads for you, you can find that at youtube.com/ads/make-a-video-ad. There are some creative partners that have worked with YouTube in case you want to find somebody who is already part of the YouTube organization, if you want to pay somebody to help you create some ads. For most of you, you absolutely do not need to do that. Finally, as I mentioned before, I'm part of the Grow with Google team. Google owns YouTube. The Grow with Google website is the perfect place to get all kinds of information about anything related to any of the Google or YouTube tools. And you can find information about that on google.com/grow. All right, and Timothy, there's one other question here I want to go ahead and answer. Crystal asks, what editing software would I suggest? In the YouTube Studio, you actually can trim your videos. You can add copyright-free background music, and you can do some special effects straight within YouTube itself, such as blurring certain things. That might be the first place to go. For those of you that are Mac users, if you're a Mac user, you can use iMovie, which typically comes with any Macintosh computers that you have. For any of you that have iPhones, there's actually a mobile version of iMovie that you can actually shoot the video on your phone and edit it on your phone itself. Believe it or not, the iPhone app is actually a little bit easier to use than the full-blown computer app. For those of you that are PC users, I don't have any specific recommendations, but there are a lot of free resources out there. For those of you that want to get deeper into video editing, there's a tool called Camtasia, which some people use. That one, I believe, is $250 to use. So I always definitely recommend you check out the free resources first. So hopefully that answers your questions. And I think that takes care of the questions here. I'm just looking, when you see my head go down, that's simply because I've got the questions at the bottom of my screen here. And Henry, I already got your question about merging other platforms.
Sure.
And Derek says no questions, but thank you for the video. It's been very helpful. Destiny said for Androids, there's one called Video Leap. So thank you, Destiny, for sharing that editing software as well. That's a great one. I'm not an Android person, so I was unfamiliar with that, but thank you, Destiny, for sharing that with the rest of the group as well. All right, if there are any final comments, Timothy, from your side? If not, we'll go ahead and you want to talk about the evaluation.
All right, thank you. I don't know if we fully answered Trenda's question. She had a question about is it a good idea to embed on her website?
All right, great. Thank you for bringing that up. So Trenda had a good question. Is it a good idea to embed on the website? What you want to do is yes, absolutely. What you want to do, though, is you want to embed the link to the YouTube video on your website. What you don't want to do is embed the entire video file on your website. And that's because if you have the actual file hosted with your website itself, that will slow down the load time. So what you want to do instead, in that slide that I showed you a couple of slides back, where after you finish doing all the details for your video, gives you the opportunity to embed, it will embed the link. What's great about that is on your website, people that visit your website, if they see that you've got a video, they'll click on, they think that they're launching the video. What they do is when they click on that, they're actually opening YouTube and they'll watch the video on YouTube. So that's definitely a great thing to do. So good question about that. And thanks, Tim, for reminding me that I didn't get to that question.
No, it's important because, you know, I get a lot of clients and they want to put the video on their own website, and I have to explain to them, you know, about YouTube's second largest search engine. The other thing is, if you host a video, it eats up your monthly bandwidth, and some of your web hosts, they put a cap. So it's like, put the video on YouTube and let Google, you know, cover the bandwidth and all those charges, and then you're automatically the second largest search engine in the world. So it makes perfect good sense to like drop it on YouTube, copy the embed code, and then put that on your website. So really good tip there, and thanks for reminding us about that. So I do want to let everybody know you're going to get 2 emails after the webinar today. The first one is going to be the one you get in about 24 hours. It'll have a link to the YouTube video, copy of the slides. I've got all these wonderful resources from Canva, the YouTube Studio, the Creator Academy. All that'll be in there, plus links. And then you go to the second email, and that's going to come from Rhonda at the Arkansas Tech ASBTDC office. And she's going to be sending you a little short survey. It's like a multiple choice. Just click a couple buttons. You can do it on your cell phone if you need to. But watch for that. That'll come out under her address there. So that's going to be going on. Okay, and do want to thank everybody for being with us today. Again, today's event's being brought to you by our ASBTDC office at Arkansas Tech University up in Russellville. This was sponsored by Arvis Bank. We want to thank Alex for you know, sponsoring all these programs that we're doing. He's going to be doing some more stuff in the Northwest. So if you're not following our ATU office on the social media channels, I would encourage you to, you know, get on Rhonda's mailing list and follow her on social media. As always, ASBTDC is a partnership with U.S. Small Business Administration. The SBA funds an SBDC program in each of the 50 states and the 6 overseas territories. Here in Arkansas, the University of Arkansas Little Rock College of Business, Health and Human Services manages that. We partner with 10 additional universities, Arkansas Tech being one of those. We actually have a map on our website at asbtdc.org. It shows, you know, which universities serving which counties. Arkansas Tech basically has a river valley from Morrilton all the way up to Fort Smith and all the counties on both sides of the river there. So if you're in that area, Rhonda and her staff are going to be the folks that you want to deal with.